Hi guys, it's Laura from How to Get Your Shit Together, and in this video I am talking about the horror that is networking as an introvert. Boo. There are lots of tips in this video, so if you want them in PDF printable form, completely free, then check out the description box below. You'll find all the information there. But if, like me, you are an introvert, there are few things more frightening and draining than a networking event. It's so hard to let your little light shine when others are just beaming their headlights directly at you, dazzling and distracting you. So in a world that seems to value the mighty over the meek, how can us introverts not only survive but thrive in these sorts of situations? Let's go. Now, being an introvert doesn't necessarily mean that you are shy or socially awkward. It simply means that you find social situations can be quite draining and you need alone time to recharge. Extroverts, on the other hand, need to be around other people to top up their tanks. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, it's not that I can't converse with other people, it's just that I find it so mentally taxing, and it probably has a lot to do with the fact that my brain is constantly racing. Thumbs up if you can relate to any of these things that I am doing at any given moment. Frantically scanning my brain for something interesting to say next. Worrying I'll sound stupid or won't know what the hell they're talking about. Second guessing everything they're saying. Was that a subtle dig at me? Panicking that I'm just not getting it. Was that a joke? Was I supposed to laugh? Trying to figure out if they're genuinely interested in what I have to say. Blurting out something slightly inflammatory just to get a few laughs, but then regretting it. Wondering what they think of me. Anxiously imagining that I will be stuck with them for ages or that someone else will want to join in. Being distracted by all the other visual stimuli going on around me. Are those mini muffins? Mentally singing along to the song playing in the background. Mentally picturing all the other things I'd rather be doing. Attempting to look as casual as possible. What should I do with my hands? And then worrying that I look like I'm trying too hard. Stressing that my hair's a mess, I have pen on my face, or I have something stuck in my teeth. Formulating an escape plan. And realizing with horror that I have not heard a word they have said because of all of the above. Exhausting. So when faced with a situation where I will have to do a lot of socializing, like at a networking event, I make sure that I am fully charged beforehand and that I recharge as much and as often as possible thereafter. For me, it's like a long car journey. It requires a full tank before I set off and then regular pit stops along the way to top up. So if you're like me, here are 15 things that you can do to successfully network as an introvert. Strap in. 1. Make sure you have plenty of downtime beforehand. Engage in something relaxing and calming to get that tank topped up. If that's not possible, because maybe you're heading straight from work to a work event with your colleagues, then still try to fit in as many little breaks as you can. Bathroom breaks, a trip to your locker to get your bag, dropping into a quiet shop under the pretense that you have to get the kids a treat or, just yourself. Making a phone call, even if it's not real. All of these are perfect opportunities to grab a quick breather. 2. Invite a friend. Now I realize that this advice will probably divide opinion because a lot of people will argue that you will use your friend as a crutch and therefore you will miss out on talking to other people and taking advantage of opportunities. But as an introvert myself, I can tell you from personal experience that I have met just as many, if not more, people while with a friend than while alone. As long as you are still open to conversations with others, then having a sidekick with you just helps to put you at ease a little bit, and it takes the pressure off of you when it comes to making conversation, and it avoids that awful scenario where you are standing there alone, feeling decidedly awkward and out of place, though that has never happened to me. It is especially helpful if that friend actually knows somebody at the networking event so that they can organize an introduction. Just remember that they are there to facilitate your networking, not to frustrate it. 3, gather intel before you go. If there is an online presence on social media or whatever, follow along and introduce yourself over there. Get to know a few people there first, and it will make real life meetings considerably less anxiety ridden. It also increases the chance that somebody will recognize you at the event and will introduce themselves, saving you from having to do it yourself. 4, dress comfortably. If you are already going to be feeling anxious and uncomfortable, then the last thing you want is to be worrying about what you're wearing or just tugging at something to make sure that it sits properly. The same goes for shoes. Yes. If you are not used to wearing heels or you don't feel comfortable in them, then go for a pair of smart flats instead. 5, have business cards close to hand. If it's that sort of event, then keep a few in an easy to access place, because the last thing you want to be doing is rooting and rummaging through your bag. 6, get there early. Now, you may feel that arriving late means there's less time you have to spend there, but it is really hard to walk into an event that is already in full swing, where everybody has already kind of paired off into little groups. It's so much less overwhelming to arrive early and make a few introductions while there's only a handful of people there than to try and insert yourself into a large crowd. 7, ditch the formal introductions. If you're like me, the thought of walking up to a complete stranger and introducing yourself just puts the frighteners up you. Instead, I have found that a great way to start a conversation is just by making a casual comment. Networking events usually involve food and drink, so while I'm standing next to someone at the buffet, I will just say something positive and then follow up with a question. Something like, "Ooh, everything looks delicious. Do you know what you're having?" Or bonus points for giving a genuine compliment because it creates a great first impression. But just say something like, "Oh, I love your shoes. Are they as comfortable as they look?" I try to avoid asking people where they got something because not everyone is comfortable sharing that information. This has proven successful for me on numerous occasions, and even if it doesn't lead anywhere meaningful, chances are that person is going to recognize me the next time they see me, making future conversations much less daunting. 8, have a list of questions prepared. Being an introvert at a social event is already bad enough without the inevitable brain freeze that seems to occur every time somebody opens their mouth to speak to you. So make it as easy as possible on yourself by compiling a list of questions beforehand that will just keep the conversation flowing. Here are some examples. Where's that accent from? Do you know many people here? Have you been to this venue before? In a "it's quite nice here" way, not in a "so, do you come here often" way. Any plans for insert holiday season here? What did you think of that speaker / performance / exhibition / whatever? 9, have a list of answers prepared. If you're like me, there is always at least one question that you get asked that trips you up. For me, it's, "So what do you do?" Have a short little speech prepared for the areas that you find it difficult to discuss. If you're stuck, think about how a friend would describe it. Or better yet, just go and ask one. 10, be as present as possible. As I've said, it can be really difficult to concentrate at these events because you have so many things running around your head, but really try to listen carefully to what the other person is saying. Give them your full attention. Go in with the mindset that you want to find out something interesting about them. 11, because I'm running out of fingers. Take regular breaks. Remember those pit stops we talked about? Take them before you run out of steam. Again, bathroom breaks are great, but use whatever you need. You know, a buffet, a bar, an exhibition, whatever it is, to just step away for a moment and collect your thoughts. Even those pretend phone calls can work wonders. 12. Have an escape plan. Now, if you're enjoying yourself, by all means, stick around. But if you find yourself getting more anxious by the minute, then make your excuses and say your goodbyes. I find it's easier to put people on notice in advance so that they're not suspicious when you slope off later on. They don't have to be elaborate excuses, but they should contain a little get out clause in case you decide to stick around a little bit longer, like having an early start in the morning. But I guess a few more minutes won't hurt. Or having to attend a private party elsewhere. But I guess they won't mind if I arrive late. Or the babysitter can only stay until a certain time. But hey, she just called to say she can hang on another hour. Or extricate yourself from an excruciating conversation by saying that it was lovely chatting to them, but you have just spotted someone that you need to talk to, and then walk directly out of their line of sight. Toilets are usually a good destination because even if you get pulled up on it later, you can just say that you thought you saw them go in, but then lost them. 13. Plan something restorative for afterwards. Remember that those batteries will need to be recharged, so have a plan in place for how you will relax and rejuvenate. The temptation to crawl straight into bed will be strong, but take a moment, maybe just read a few extra pages of a book, or sit in silence and sip a hot drink, or even just sit down and enjoy the peace and quiet for a few minutes. 14. Follow up in a way that feels comfortable. So if you did get chatting to someone, send them an email or a tweet or whatever seems appropriate the following day so that you can keep the conversation going, but in a way that feels a lot less intimidating. Or if there was a social media profile or a hashtag or whatever, use it to just say something positive. I usually say that I had a great time and I was sorry that I couldn't chat to everybody. More often than not, that simple statement starts a conversation and bam! Before I know it, I am networking with people from the event from the comfort of my couch. Much less stressful. 15. The final tip. Go easy on yourself. Situations such as these are challenging for introverts. Being fearful of something but going ahead and doing it anyway, that is the very definition of bravery. So be proud of yourself for just showing up. If you get to connect with someone, great. If you don't, you have still fought a hard battle and come out the other side. Give yourself the credit you deserve. And look, sometimes you're there simply because you are obliged to be, or because you're interested in the event as opposed to the people attending it. And in those instances, it is perfectly acceptable to just grab your goodie bag and go home. Not that I have ever done that. I think that often the struggle that introverts have is trying to be something that they're not and denying their own needs and wants in favor of what they think they should be doing. There's so much emphasis these days on, socializing and networking and living this great, extravagant, outgoing lifestyle that it's so easy to forget that a lot of people, myself included, thrive on silence and simplicity. If you are an introvert like me, embrace it. Remember that there is a difference between taking a little step outside of your comfort zone and just plain pushing yourself too far. Take the breaks you need. Savor the silence and give yourself credit for the effort that you are expending. Networking as an introvert can be incredibly challenging, but with the aforementioned tips and a strong dose of self-compassion, you can overcome it. And then go home and cherish your alone time all the more. And that is a wrap for another video. Thumbs up if you are also an introvert. Comment below and let me know if you could relate to any of the things I mentioned at the beginning of the video, of all of those things that were racing through my head. And what is your top tip for surviving a social event? And hey, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I upload videos every single Thursday to help you live a happier, simpler life. And if once a week isn't good enough for you, then check out the description box below and follow us on your platform of choice, or just go and look through the blog archives. Plenty of information over there. And don't forget to pick up your free cheat sheet in the description box so that you can take these tips with you wherever you go. Until next time, gur míle maith agaibh agus feici mé sibh go luath. Slán!